Hello and welcome to or welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily. If you are new here, I am obsessed with reading and all I talk about are books. I spend a good amount of my free time reading, and this past June has been no exception to that. I have read about 9 books this month. I DNF'd a couple and we'll get into that. We'll talk about why, but I read a ton of books that I truly really enjoyed and I want to share with you guys. So I am just making this not necessarily a June wrap up, but just books I have read over June and the beginning of July and whether or not I recommend them. So this will just be a little bit of a rambly video talking about books that I recommend. If that's something that interests you, get comfortable, get a snack, get a drink, and let's start talking about some of my favorite reads. I'm going to start off strong with the Caraval series. I read this in the beginning of June and I loved it. If you are unfamiliar, the Caraval series is a trilogy, and this follows 2 sisters, Scarlett and Donatella Dragna. I'm only going to tell you about the first one because if I tell you about these, that will give away what happens in the first and second book. So the first one follows sisters Scarlett and Donatella, and they have been wanting to go to see Caraval, which is a very exclusive once-a-year magic show that you can only go to if you are specifically invited. And Scarlett has been wanting to go her whole life, and she is about to be sent off to be in an arranged marriage, and she thinks her chances of ever going to Caraval are coming to an end until finally her and her sister get invited to go. They end up traveling to Legend, who is the Caraval master. They end up traveling to his private island for the Caraval show, and when they get there, Donatella, the younger sister, is kidnapped, and we learn that the focus of this year's game is to find Donatella, and the winner gets to get a wish granted if they find Donatella. So for everybody who's participating in Caraval this year, it is just a game, but for Scarlett, she is truly trying to find her sister, and she's told repeatedly that it's just a game. Everything that you see isn't real, it is just magic. But her sister's life is also kind of on the line, so it's a bit more of a game for her. We meet some love interests who follow somewhat throughout the other books. There's a bit of a slow burn, there's a lot of magic and world building, and there's a lot of emotion, and it is just so much fun. The best way I can describe this is like a fantasy fairy tale, but for young adults / new adults. It's just so much fun, and I loved the entire series. I gave the first one a 4.5. The second one is legendary. I gave that a 5, and finale a 4.5. Overall, I gave the series a 4.5 out of 5 stars. If you are someone who is into fantasy and specifically magic related fantasy and like fairy tale sorts of things, I highly recommend this series. This also has a spin-off series. I believe the first book is Once Upon a Broken Heart. That could be wrong though. If you end up falling in love with this series, there is more for you to read, and I believe the 3rd book in that series is coming out very soon. The next one I want to talk about is The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels by India Holt. This is a super fun Victorian romance / comedy, so it's kind of screwball humor. This follows our main character Cecilia, who is a up-and-coming member of the Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels. She lives with her aunt, who is a full member of the Wisteria Society. The group of women who belong to the Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels is just a group of pirates who are criminals. They fly houses, which is like super fun and unique, and I was just not expecting that. They hire assassins to kill one another, but then they are kind of able to overcome these situations, and they still like gather for tea and cookies, and like they're like, oh yeah, like she tried to kill me a decade ago, but like we're a part of the group. But like they're able to threaten each other, but if anybody else threatens their group, they will all band together to fight them off. It's very interesting. It's a great dynamic, and our story revolves around Cecilia, who is trying to become a full member. She is 19, so she's at the age where she can. We find out that Cecilia has an assassin who is hired to kill her. Lo and behold, the assassin somewhat falls in love with Cecilia, and the two work together to save the Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrel from a very evil man who wants to kill them all. It's so much fun. It's like lighthearted and funny, it's just great. It's a slow burn, super slow burn, but the writing style is awesome. If you're someone who likes Victorian romance and like a dry humor kind of romance, you'll like this. I gave this a 4 out of 5. The next one I read is Mad Honey. This is by Jodi Picoult and Jennifer Finney Boylan. This was actually a book club pick for me and my friends in the month of June. I'm actually recording this like 20 minutes after we had our book club meeting, which was so fun, but we read this book. I loved it. I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5. So this follows Olivia, who is a single mother raising Asher, an 18-year-old boy. So the book is told from two perspectives, Olivia's and Olivia's son's girlfriend, Lily. So the story starts off with finding out that Lily has been murdered and Asher, Olivia's son, is charged with murdering Lily. So we go back and forth each chapter between Olivia's situation, watching her son go through this murder trial. Her husband, Asher's father, was a very abusive husband, and it's kind of like her inner thoughts and her inner turmoil going through this trial and like going back and forth on her son's innocence, and it's super interesting. And then the other chapters are from Lily's perspective, going back in time before the murder, about 6 months before, I believe, when she moves to town. As the book progresses, you learn more about her and how it affects the trial, and it's super interesting. Some of the plot lines I didn't love. Like, there were some, like the way it ended, I didn't love it, but the overall message of the story and the overall vibe of it was great, and I highly recommend it. I think it's an important read. So if you were looking for something like that, I highly recommend this. I give this a 4 out of 5. The next book I read, which I don't have a copy of with me, is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. We all know Taylor Jenkins Reid, iconic. She writes phenomenal books. This is no exception. This was a 5-star for me. So this book follows the Riva family, who is a family of four siblings, I think, who are ranging in age from, I think, 18 to like 26, somewhere around that age. Nina Riva is the oldest of the 4 siblings. Well, they're extremely rich. Their father is Mick Riva, who is sort of the parallel to Mick Jagger, like in our time, someone of that caliber, like a super famous rock star, and he is just a terrible father, terrible husband. And we learn more about his relationship, or the lack of a relationship, with him and his children through their chapters. And then we also learn about his relationship with the children's mother in the other chapters. We go back in time and we learn about how the two got together, which is super interesting. But the main focus of the story is this huge party that Nina Riva throws every single year. It's like an annual party and all the celebrities come. It's like a huge, if you're into like celebrity drama, stuff like that, like you will eat this book up. It was so good. So it goes from like 7 a.m. I believe the day of the party to like 9 a.m. the day after. So good. So much happens. And it ends so perfectly. Like, it's just exactly how you want it to end. And like, I am the spokesperson for the Nina Riva fan club. I adore her. Adore her. So I give that book a 5. I also read The Silent Bride, which I didn't like. I finished it in like a day. So like, the writing style was something that grabbed me, and like, it was interesting enough to finish it. But I did not like the way it ended. This is about a woman who on her wedding day is walking down the aisle and she does not recognize the groom. And everyone says like, that is him, that is your fiance, what is wrong with you? And she's like, that's not him, that's a complete stranger. And she thinks there's like this sick joke that everybody's playing on her, and she's convinced this is not my husband, and she has no idea why. So it's kind of following after the wedding, the fallout of it, and what really happened, like where is her husband and what is happening to her. Has a super interesting premise. I just didn't love the way it ended. I felt like it could have been, I don't know, I just felt like it could have been better. So I didn't love it. I gave it a 2 out of 5. Worth the read. I'm not mad I finished it, but definitely wasn't my favorite read. Another ebook I read was, I actually listened to the audiobook of this. It was The Anthropocene, reviewed by John Green. And let me tell you, if you're looking to get into nonfiction, please pick this up because it was so good. It is basically John Green. If you don't know, John Green and his brother Hank Green are like very smart brothers who Hank Green wrote Looking for Alaska and The Fault in Our Stars. They're just very smart, intelligent, and funny brothers. And each chapter is just John Green rating random stuff, very random stuff, on a scale of 1 to 5. And it's so fun and emotional and interesting. If you're looking for a nonfiction, pick that up. And the audiobook is narrated by him, so it's like super interesting. I gave that a 5-star. I started Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood, which I got for my book of the month. I hated it. I'm so sorry, I really didn't like it. I DNF'd it about a third of the way through. The writing style was just not for me. There's only so many times an author can mention like how big the male main character is before it gets old, and that limit's about 2, and I was just like not into it. So that kind of gave me an ick, like a writing ick. And then I just didn't love the writing style. I really didn't. I DNF'd it. I was down the shore and I was like, I'm on a vacation, I don't want to be reading something I don't like. So I put it down. I want to talk about House of Salt and Sorrow. This is by Erin A. Craig. I am currently reading this and I am almost done. This book is so good. This is like a fantasy mystery with a little bit of romance thrown in there. So this is about a family of 11 sisters who live on this like very dark, kind of secluded small island, and they are very rich. They live in like this manor with their father, and one by one the sisters start dying. Meanwhile, they discover this magic door that the gods use to travel around mortal lands. And all you have to do is think of where you want to go and you will be there. So the girls find it, the ones who are still alive, and they use it to go to balls every night, because everybody who lives on the island has heard about these sisters dying and they think that there is a curse, and nobody wants to marry them, nobody wants to talk to them, because they think that there is this big curse and they will all die, and everybody's just scared to associate with them. So they are sneaking out every night to go to these balls. Meanwhile, we have Annalie, who is the main character, and she is one of the oldest sisters, and she is trying to solve what is going on with her sisters. Is there a curse? What is happening? I don't want to say too much because it'll give it away, but if you're into like fantasy mysteries, please pick this up. If this goes the way I think it's gonna go, 5-star. Phenomenal book. That is it for today. I just wanted to show you guys a couple of books I've been enjoying and hopefully give you guys some recommendations. If you have read any of those, let me know your thoughts. If you have any recommendations for me, please let me know. And also, if you're interested in joining my book club, which I host on Zoom, please go over to my Instagram and send me a message letting me know you're interested, and then send me an email address I can reach you by and I will add you to the group. That is it for today. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.